Okay, I've got Trip in my lap. Let's see here. I got my book that we're going to read. So we got Violet and the Pile of Life. We're going to get a couple of chapters done. I looked ahead. Normally I don't look ahead, but they look like some short chapters. All right. So, let's see, make sure I got this. There we go. So they had lunch, and now we're going on with the rest of the story. All right, chapter 23. Mom drove me nuts the next morning. I couldn't even lie in bed after hitting my snooze button without her leaning over me, breathing her coffee breath on my face. I couldn't stand still after my shower and enjoy the warm steam without Mom calling out, "You'll be late for school." I couldn't stare at my bedroom mirror while wearing my striped sweater, and then my pink one, and then my brown one, and then my striped one again without Mom telling me to hurry up. And it was impossible to remember when I'd worn each sweater last. What jeans went best with them because Mom's Violet, come on, made my brain go blank. By the time we left for school, I didn't know who was madder, me or Mom. Probably Mom. Her eyes narrowed into slits like she was peering out of a Halloween mask. Her lips pressed together so tightly they made one thin line. She looked like she was constipated, though I wasn't dumb enough to point that out. Just when I thought Mom was done telling me what to do, she said, "Put your seatbelt on." I sighed. "Violet, you have to get ready for school faster," Mom said, like she'd said a quadrillion times before. "All right, I will," I said for the quadrillionth time. Then I mumbled, "We're only a few minutes late." Normally I'd text Mackenzie like something like, "Late, don't wait for me," but Mackenzie wouldn't be waiting for me anymore. Allie and I weren't good enough friends to wait for each other before school every day. Not yet, anyway. "I'm tired of nagging you," Mom said, "believe it or not." "Not," I muttered. "So I thought about it. I'm changing things up." Mom sounded cheery now. She let out a big breath. "I'm done waking you up or telling you to hurry or trying to rush you in the morning." "Really? Is this an early Christmas gift?" Mom flashed a smile. "A gift for both of us." I smiled back at her. "Best gift ever. Thanks. But there's a catch. From now on, if you're not in the car at 7:45, you walk to school." I groaned. "Oh, that'll make me later than ever. Do you know how long it takes to walk to school?" 20 minutes or so." "Yeah, and what if I have a big thing to carry like that history class project?" "Then you better make sure to get ready for school on time." Mom flashed another smile. I did not smile back. "If I have too many tardies, I'll get detention." "That'll be your problem, not mine," Mom said. "I can't get detention. I have rehearsals every day after school." Mom shrugged. "Well, it's up to you. I guess you should get yourself ready on time." I glared at her. "I guess you should get me a real Christmas present because this one stinks." Pie again. Voicemail from Violet. "Hi, Mackenzie, it's me. Obviously, I saw you looking at me in the cafeteria today, and you saw me looking at you. Do you want to sit with me at lunch tomorrow? I mean, with me and Allie and whoever else joins the table. Allie's nice. We shouldn't be scared to try new things. I'm not saying you're scared, but I'm saying you're not scared either, you know? Give me a call, okay? We don't even have to talk that much about my dad or that kick at lunch and maybe your mom. I wish we could talk about that stuff, though. Okay, well, I miss you." It had been 2 days since I left that voicemail. Mackenzie hadn't called me back or texted me or sat with me at lunch. I missed her. I worried about her, too. We only had mothers to look out for us now, and I didn't think Mackenzie's mother looked out for her very well. The day before, I saw her eating with 3 girls I didn't know very well. Darcy Bowling, Pearl something, and a girl named either Maddie or Megan or Molly or Jane. I doubted Mackenzie knew those girls very well either. Maybe Mackenzie had decided to be generous and give those girls a second chance, like I'd done with Allie and Allie had done with me. I was willing to give Mackenzie a second chance, but she didn't seem to want it. What she really seemed to want was lunch company that wasn't me. Today was only the third day Allie and I were eating together, but she put her backpack and notebook on the bench across from her to save spots for Zahara and me. Allie must have been looking at Mackenzie as I walked over because she said, "Did Mackenzie ever tell you why she's mad at me?" I sat down. "Mackenzie's not mad at you, maybe jealous." "No, she's mad," Allie said softly. "She didn't tell you about the hand-me-downs?" I shook my head. Last year, Allie's voice got so soft, I had to lean in close to tell her. Well, I noticed her clothes weren't in very good shape, and I get a ton of hand-me-downs from my mom's boss's daughter. Really, my grandmother's boss's daughter, but I call my grandmother Mom. Anyway, I'm too tall for a lot of the clothes, so I offered Mackenzie some of them. "That was nice of you," I said. Nicer than I had been. I hadn't even thought about giving Mackenzie clothes until my mom had bought some for her. I hoped Mom would keep buying her stuff. "Mackenzie didn't consider it nice," Allie said. "She considered it insulting. I made the offer in private, but I probably didn't say it right." "Say what right?" Zahara asked as she sat next to me. "Oh, nothing." I grabbed my sandwich and bit into it. "Nothing," Allie said. "And speaking of nothing, let me show you something." "How could nothing lead you to something?" "They like inverse functions of each other," Zahara said. I gaped. I gaped at Zahara. Wasn't inverse functions a math term? "Here it is." Allie handed me her phone. A picture of a boy filled the screen. He looked a little older than us and had pale skin, short hair, and big ears. Allie said, This is my cousin Cameron at his Boy Scout awards ceremony." "Congratulations," I said like a Congratulations, I said like a question. "Cameron's really proud of that picture," she said. "He got an award for most passionate or most compassionate, something like that." I had no idea where she was going with this. I raised my eyebrows at her, meaning SOS. "There's this big stupid rumor about me," Allie said, which did not seem to save our ship, but rather knock a big hole into it. "You've probably heard about Allie dating a ninth grader," Zahara said. I didn't know whether to lie or not. I glanced Mackenzie's way. If she could save our ship, she was staring at Pearl, who was talking with her mouth full of food. Yuck. "That rumor is fake," Allie said. "I'm not dating an older boy. I've never dated anyone. My cousin and I hang out. Someone must have seen us together." Guilt globbed inside me. My stomach felt like it did after eating too many slab o' ribs at Bonzo's barbecue. "Stupid rumor," Zahara said. "Yeah," I said as the glob of guilt grew. "So stupid," Zahara said. "I met Allie's cousin once. All he did was talk about his merit badges. The only boy I would date would be..." She leaned close across the table and whispered, "Brandon Chandler's Mr. Muscles." I tried to hide my disgust. Brandon ate everything with his hands and looked like a blonde-haired boulder. He wasn't anywhere near as cute as Diego Ortiz. This week, Diego and I had spent Saturday and every day after school together in rehearsals, but mostly in character on stage. The play was only a week away. "I know who you'd date, Violet," Allie said. She whispered, "Diego Ortiz." "What, me?" My face got warm. "Diego?" Allie nodded. "Your face is red as a throbbing heart. I've suspected your crush since the first rehearsal. I always hear you laughing harder than anyone at Diego's jokes. Just because I think he's funny doesn't mean I have a crush on..." "Oh, but you do," Allie said smugly. "And I'm pretty sure he likes you too." Wishful arithmetic. Violet plus Diego equals sitting in a tree, Kissing. Chapter 24. I had Mom drop me off at rehearsal on Saturday at 9 o'clock sharp, an hour before rehearsal really started. As soon as Mom left, I did too. I walked quickly. I needed to get to Mackenzie's house to try and make up with her and return to school auditorium on time. I also walked quickly because I was a little scared. If Mom had known what I was doing, she'd probably be scared for me. We had picked Mackenzie up at her house a lot, but seeing the houses flash by from the car window at 25 miles per hour was different than looking at them from the sidewalk at 3 miles per hour. Some of the homes in Mackenzie's neighborhood were cute. If my mom were selling them, she'd call them hidden gems. But most of the homes I passed could at best be described as cozy, charming, or quaint. Some of them couldn't be called any of those things, with their faded paint and dirty window and dead yards. The best term for them was handyman special, or a steal for investors. Mackenzie's house was the worst one of all. It would have been called a tear down, meaning it was such a disaster that the entire house would have to be torn down and replaced. I stood on the sidewalk for a minute, staring at the crack-stained driveway, the peeling paint on the front window with the duct tape over it. My body felt heavy as cement. I made myself walk forward, stepping over ancient brown and green hoses that lay jumbled along the narrow path to the front door. Lying on the cement around the door were rusted bike parts, a huge toaster, and a broken umbrella. I knocked on the door. "Go away," Mackenzie's mom said loudly in her raspy voice. Before I could convince myself to leave, I said squeakily, "Is Mackenzie home? It's me, Violet." "The Girl Scout?" Mackenzie's mom asked. "Yes, no, not anymore." I called out, "Mackenzie, are you there? I came here to..." Mackenzie cracked open the front door. She didn't look happy to see me, more like nervous. Her lips were pursed, and she crossed one arm over her chest. She was wearing the old gray nightgown, her sleepover uniform. "What are you doing here? Did your mom drive you?" Her gaze darted over my shoulder to the street. "No, I walked here. My mom doesn't know." Right then, I wish my mom knew. I wish she were standing right next to me. "Get out of here," Mackenzie whispered, sounding panicked. I whispered back, "But Mackenzie's mother flung open the front door. She wore a faded red bathrobe and looked shorter than I remembered, probably because I'd grown taller. She had large, dark eyes like Mackenzie's, but while Mackenzie's eyes always seemed to shine with energy, the shine in her mother's eyes looked like pure anger. "You're trespassing," Miss Wilson barked. Mackenzie said her mom was really sad for Mackenzie's dad dying, but to me she just seemed mad. A smell hit me. It reminded me of the dumpster near the school auditorium. I looked inside the house, but I couldn't see very far in. There was a large cardboard box with random stuff like electric cords and old towels spilling out of it, a three-legged chair, an old pizza box, a cracked computer monitor, and a pile of ratty winter clothes no one would wear in Orange County or probably anywhere else. "Did your mother send you?" Mackenzie's mom asked like an accusation. I shook my head. "I know she called a social worker about me and that ridiculous volunteer group. She needs to butt out of my life." I didn't know my mom had butted in, but if my mom had called people to help Mackenzie and her mom, then, well, it seemed like she had a good reason to. "Get out, Violet," Mackenzie whispered. Now she sounded desperate. I stared at the train wreck of her house. It was rude and it was making me nauseous, but I couldn't help it. I couldn't look away or speak or move. "Please," Mackenzie hissed, "either me or her mother. Either to me or her mother." Then Mackenzie mom did us all a big favor and slammed the door shut. For a few seconds I stood frozen in front of the dusty, dirty door. Then I turned and ran. Running is the last thing you should do when your stomach hurts, but the faster I got away from Mackenzie's house, the better I felt. I wondered whether Mackenzie felt the same way whenever Mom picked her up in old but pristine Grandpa Falls apart and took her to our clean, orderly house. I wondered how Mackenzie had put up with my stupid complaints about Mom nagging Dad to stop cluttering our hallway with his shoes. I stopped running about a block from school and tried to calm down before rehearsal. I sang the Cowardly Lion's Courage song in my head. It took about a dozen repeat verses before my breathing returned to normal. But the stink of Mackenzie's house still came through every pore in my body. Text Mackenzie, are you okay? Mackenzie, don't ever tell anyone about my mom or my house. Violet. She did a smile, a frowny face. Mackenzie says, don't tell anyone. Mackenzie says, promise me. Violet goes, I won't tell, I promise. Are you okay, though? Mackenzie goes, fine, don't ever mention it. Violet goes, do you want help? Don't ever mention it, said Mackenzie. And Violet goes, okay, I won't, with a frowny face. 5 days after going to Mackenzie's house, my stomach churned again, but for a different reason. We were about to begin our first and only dress rehearsal. I stood with most of the cast in the crowded green room watching a video monitor of the stage. Allie stood on stage in her Dorothy costume, polyester white blouse, and gingham dress that Mr. Goldstein had snagged online. The red clogs her grandma had heaped with glitter. Next to Allie were Jada Morales, who played Auntie Em, and Henry Thomasil, who convincingly played Uncle Henry. The music teacher played a melody of songs from The Wizard of Oz on the piano. Mr. Goldstein sat in the front row with his husband, who was skinnier than him and had even less hair. Seated around them were 10 really old people from the senior center where Mr. Goldstein's husband worked as the activities director. Principal Slimeball, real name Principal Simon, sat a few rows back. At an assembly last year, she said we should each give 110% to making middle school count, which made me lose all respect for her, since giving anything over 100% is mathematically impossible. Mrs. Merriweather sat near the back, but her height and magenta hair made her stand out. I didn't want to mess up in front of her, not after she'd written on my last homework packet that I should think seriously about a career in math. I also didn't want to disappoint any of the senior citizens, because this could be the last... Oh, jeez. This could be the last play they saw before they died. Oh, God, that's terrible. Oh, my. It might not be the last play, but okay, Violet. Diego was sitting on the folding chair right next to me, with our knees almost touching. The thing Allie had said, I'm pretty sure he likes you too, whooshed inside my head, along with a quadrillion other thoughts. Some of the quadrillion thoughts whooshing in my head. Does Diego like me? Does Diego really like me? Like me? How does Allie know, especially since she hasn't even dated anyone? Why would the funniest guy in school like someone whose jokes are about as funny as Allie's little sister knock-knock jokes? Fortunately, makeup covered my blushing cheeks. Unfortunately, it was thick, greasy gold makeup. It matched my big furry gold costume and the hood of gold yarn over my head. Not a good look for me. Plus, I smelled bad. I probably stank. The last person who wore this costume must have run a marathon in it. Diego smelled fine, but he wasn't exactly looking his best either. He wore silver makeup, a silver shirt, weird silver pants, and papier-mâché hat fastened to his head with a quadrillion bobby pins. He was supposed to be the Tin Man with an oil can on his head, but he looked more like a disco robot wearing a dunce cap. I still thought he was cute. On the video monitor, the right half of the faded red stage curtain opened. About 10 seconds later, the left half started to jerk. It took another 30 seconds or so for it to open all the way. Yikes, I said. Allie uttered her first line. Auntie Eminem! A soft drone went through the green room. Auntie Eminem in Uncle O. Henry bar, Diego whispered. I very cleverly responded with another yikes. I hoped Allie wasn't freaking out too much about her mistake. Mr. Goldstein has told us the show must go on no matter what. If someone forgot a prop or a line, we're supposed to improvise so the mistake wouldn't be obvious to the audience. But no one could hide the fact that Dorothy had called her Aunt M&M, especially after Jada Auntie M&M started laughing. The prop guy ran on stage and handed Allie a basket with a stuffed dog in it, which she should have been holding when the curtain opened. Allie ad-libbed the line, Tonto, and then she covered her mouth, uncovered it, and said, I mean Toto. Jada bent over with laughter. The white powder on her hair flew all over the place and made her sneeze. Her sneeze sent more powder into the air, which made Uncle Henry, sneeze. Backstage, Diego whispered, This is the Wizard of Oz or the Wizard of Schnoz. Yikes, was my witty comeback again. Behind us, Sarah Blanchett said, Allie is screwing up so bad. Give her a break, I said. At the same time, Diego said, leave her alone. We stared into each other's eyes as if by ESP we are on exactly the same wavelength, joining together to fight evil like soulmate superheroes. Allie made up for her flub lines by singing Somewhere Over the Rainbow beautifully. After Allie's solo, one of the really old ladies said loudly, like a taller jelly garland. And then a really old man said equally louder, Thelma, simmer down. Then Thelma most likely said, Shut up your bye-hole, Jerome. Mr. Goldstein's husband made a loud shushing sound. Shh. The play didn't improve. Two Munchkin, Henry's and Diego's younger brothers, ran into each other and fell on their butts. Another Munchkin, Mr. Goldstein's niece, got clobbered by Gilda the Good Witch's wand. Sarah Blanchett's scarecrow rope belt came untied, and she sang If I Only Had a Brain, while one of her hands clutched the top of her burlap pants. Poor dear is losing her slacks, Thelma said, and Mr. Goldstein's husband, Oh, poor dear is losing her slacks, Thelma had said, and Mr. Goldstein's husband loudly shushed her again. I messed up, too, skipping a verse of my Courage song and later tripping over the melted witch who came back to life for a second to say, Ow! Diego's bobby pins kept flying off his head. Toward the end, his oil can dunce cap fell off. He said with a smile, That was meant to happen. No one laughed, not even me. Horrifying disasters in U.S. history. The Great San Francisco Fire, the Donner Cannibalism Party, the sinking of the Titanic, Horton Johnson Middle School's production of The Wizard of Oz. At number 4. The dress rehearsal seemed to last a quadrillion years. She really likes quadrillions. During this era, I thought about how I could skip out on the actual play if only I used up all my dead relatives' excuses. If only Mr. Goldstein had kept saying the show must go on. If Mr. Goldstein hadn't kept saying the show must go on. My hopes turned to faking a serious but temporary disease or injury. Cold, level 1. Able to get out of the play? No. Have to fake sneezes and coughs, which Diego might find gross. So, disease, stomach flu, serious level 3. Able to get out of the play? No. Problem with it? Diego would find it definitely gross. Sprained ankle, definitely a 3. Nope, not out of the play, have to fake a limp. Broken limb, that's a serious one. 4. Nope, not getting out of the play. Might be stuck wearing a cast for 6 weeks. 2 broken limbs. Oh, that's number 6. Oh, get out of the play? No. Mr. Goldstein might push me on his stage in a wheelchair and make me sing if I only had a working arm and leg. Oh, jeez. Finally, we reached the last scene. Allie said her famous "no place like home" line and clicked her heels 3 times, and in rehearsal, Mr. Goldstein had told her to click with exuberance and gusto, and she did. Her left clog flew into the air. "Heads up!" Mrs. Merriweather exclaimed. I let out a sigh as the curtain shakily closed and the horror finally ended. Mr. Goldstein called everyone on stage. Our faces looked shocked. We're barely survived an apocalypse. Mr. Goldstein pretty shocked himself, but he said, "Let's give a big round of applause for everyone trying so hard and braving the dress rehearsal." And he started clapping. No one joined in. He stopped after 6th class. "All right, down to business. Stage manager, we must repair the curtain. Allie, be careful when you click your heels. Your ruby slipper just missed one of the senior citizens in our audience, and the glitter bombed several people in the second row." Allie was stooped over, hugging her arm across her chest. This rehearsal had to be worse for her than anyone else. She had screwed up first and last and in between, appeared in practically every scene, and had no confidence in her ability to remember her lines. I walked over to her and squeezed her arm. She looked at me and sighed. "They say the worse dress rehearsal, the better the actual show," I whispered. "Really?" she asked, in a microscopic speck of hope in her voice. I nodded. I hoped Allie didn't ask who they were and where I'd heard that, because "they" was really me, and I'd made it all up. Also, it was logical to say the worse you did in practice tests, the better you'd do on the actual tests, or the worse your parents' marriage was, the better their chances of reuniting. But I'd lie to Allie all night if it would cheer her up. Mr. Goldstein spent the next few minutes giving us notes. He finished up by saying, "Let's not dwell on our mistakes. Hang up your costumes, put away the props, and rest well tonight. Curtain call tomorrow is at 6 p.m. Onward and break a leg." He tried but failed to smile, shook his head, and walked off. I hurried backstage, got out a disgusting sweaty lion costume, and scrubbed the grease paint from my face. Back in my school clothes, I walked through the cursed auditorium and empty seats. They'll be filled tomorrow, as we performed our disaster in front of my mom and other parents and teachers and hundreds of kids from school. If I couldn't get a serious but temporary injury or disease, my best hope was for a large house to soar through the sky before showtime and flatten the auditorium. And we will leave the play for tomorrow. Chapter 26.